All right, so welcome to Teaching Tuesdays for single family. A while back, somebody had said, "Hey, wow, your multifamily class is really good. What do you think about putting something together for single family?" And Nicole actually came up with this great idea of creating not just a class on one thing, but really creating an academy, if you will, of a bunch of very successful independent full-time investors that all specialize in one thing or another. And then also a bunch of different strategies that you can use. Whereas a lot of people are like, okay, great. So I can, buy a house and flip it, or I can buy a house and wholesale it. And then people were walking away from a lot of deals because they're like, those are the only two options. And there's really like 10 or 12 options that you can make money on a property. And that's kind of what the virtual REI Academy is about. It's about learning all the different ways that you can make money off of single family outside of, and yes, wholesaling and retail and rehabs are in there as well by some very good people. But there are lots and lots and lots of other options. So Jane and Sharon are retired. Down, I know you can't tell, but they're retired. They used to be up here in Baltimore, and then they abandoned us and went down to beautiful Sarasota, Florida, and are down there now. They have had tremendous, tremendous success. They've done, I don't know, 150, 170, something like that deals. Being in Florida, obviously, they're now operating virtually, so they still have property, I believe, in Baltimore. But then they also have, I think you're in 10 or 11 states, I think,
Yeah.
including they're in Florida, right? And we just put an offer in and a property in a mobile home park in Indiana. So, and I've never been to Indiana. So it's pretty amazing stuff, but they really, really, really know their stuff. They're amazing people, great partners. We're very happy and excited to have them allow us to be a part of their journey. So I will turn it over to you guys.
Thank you for that. And we've only been to Indiana a couple times, but and our flip will be done probably next week. So hopefully we'll get that going where we can talk about that. And obviously we've been doing this since about February. Wanted to jump on with the Teaching Tuesday, kind of give back. And it's we learned I think as Doug said on the earlier call, uh tax stupid. So we learned a lot the hard way, and that's
I'm
not
sorry. Can someone mute? There's a lot of background noise. I don't know whose house it is or something.
Chip.
So that'd be
You can
great.
mute
Thank
him.
you. Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So we learned the hard way on a lot of things, and it's now we're just trying to give back and teach people maybe a couple things that hopefully will save them the money, the gray hair, the heartache, all that stuff by some of these tips and tricks. And going to the virtual REI Academy, it's learning on demand, so you kind of can watch it as you want. There's a lot of different courses, a lot of different experienced people. Nicole has several classes on there, so that's always a good person to learn from. So encourage you to check that out, and we'll get on with tonight. Tonight we wanted to do something a little bit different. I don't know if anybody brought any, but kind of like a pitch and profit. So just bring in some deals that you might think is a good deal and kind of running them by everybody here and see what everybody else thinks. Or maybe there's a structure you didn't think about that maybe you can still sell it and make money. Early on, the only thing we knew how to do was buy with cash. And then when we couldn't find the cash, or we didn't have our own self-funding for everything, then it was like, oh, well, we don't know what to do with this, so we can't buy it. Now there's, subject to lease option. There's so many things out there that it might not look like a great deal on paper just as a cash deal, but there's other things. There's investors who purchase, they just want, some investors, they just need to take a loss. So somebody might partner with you because they need to take a loss for their taxes, or they might want some appreciation in something. They might not care about anything else, or they might just want, 2% interest and you take the other 8. There's tons of things and tons of people. So it's about your network, right? And who knows what or who needs what, and then it's about making the deal if you see 10 properties that you get contracts on, you should be closing all 10 of those somehow, finding somebody that wants it, somebody that needs it, somebody that needs something that you don't have. So we thought we would try this maybe once a month, that people could bring their deals and we kind of like go over them and, see if we can help, or, see if it is a good deal, or who knows, maybe somebody on here will fund it if it's a really good deal, or just kind of help out. So
Partner.
hopefully everybody got the memo, and maybe some people brought some deals. Anybody?
I can stop sharing the screen because I'd rather other people let us know about their deals they want to go over. If worst comes to worst, we do have a deal that we can go over and get some information, get some creative financing. But I'm going to stop now and allow somebody else to take over. Hoping somebody else has a deal. And you can just unmute if you have something. You don't have to go in the chat. Oh, some Chip said that he can't hear at all with his audio. Is anybody else having problems hearing?
I can hear you.
I can hear fine.
It might be with Chip's
I
mic.
can hear.
Great,
Okay.
awesome, good. Okay, so is that somebody have you don't have to give the address or anything. You can keep it where, you're worried that, you'll put too much information out there and somebody else might try to grab up that deal. So you can give as much or as little information as you want to on the subject property or the deal, and then we can all brainstorm, put our heads together and come up with really great creative solutions to be able to capitalize and get this, leave less money on the table or no money on the table.
Hi, I'm gonna try it here. I'm very new to this. My name is Emma.
Awesome. Thank you, Emma.
Hi,
Do you want to share your screen or do you just want to talk about your deal?
if I may just talk about it now, if you don't mind. I have a rental. I'm a landlord. I've had this property for 10 years, 11 years. This is in Pasadena, Maryland. The property is actually paid off, and I'm looking for the best way to use the equity to buy my next property. And I'm interested in long-term rentals. I've been thinking about, or the only options that I can think of are equity loan or HELOC, maybe. But if there are any other options, I'm open.
So you own it free and clear, or are you?
Yes.
Yeah, you did own it free and clear. Okay.
Is this a house you're living in or is this a rental?
A rental.
So
It's a
the first
tiny
thing you need to worry about is how do you protect from losing 25 or 30% of the value to taxes when you sell it? And
I don't
so,
intend, yes, I don't intend to sell it.
okay. So you just want to pull some of the equity out. So you want to basically a cash out refi or a HELOC or something like that. HELOCs are not so easy to get sometimes, particularly right now. With the market, but I'm going to let Jane and Sharon take over because they're more up to date than I am.
That was perfect. But you have a lot of information on that, Nicole. Another thing I was thinking is, were you thinking, do you have the renter in place now?
Yes.
And they're would they want to maybe buy the property, have like a owner finance type of option with you having like an option to buy it back in the future? And then they could put a down payment on it, or try to pull money that way.
We're actually in the process of renewing the lease.
Okay.
So no, they're not really interested in taking over or in the property, to buy the property.
Oh, Daniel, do you want to talk about the cash out refi?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm on baby duty. I mean, what we did was we took a package of 6 and we did a leveraged line of credit against them. And then, you also have the cash out refi. That's an option. That's probably your best option, depending on the value of the property. If it's sub 100,000, in my opinion, you would cash out refi is really hard to do as well as the HELOC, especially if you're not living in it. But if it's in Pasadena, Maryland, that's
a hot area.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not a cheap area. So, I mean, there's probably, if it's fully paid for, my first option would be a cash out refi.
Okay.
I would do the cash out refi. They'll give you the cash, and then you can go and purchase whatever you like, wherever you'd like with the cash. It's basically freedom.
Yeah.
And then, like the other lady said, the tax purposes, if there's debt on it, it's taking out the debt is a tax advantage.
And when you say refi, you actually are referring to the equity loan? I'm sorry if I'm new to this right now.
Basically, you would go to the bank and say, "Give me a mortgage on this property," and
Okay.
just get a 30-year mortgage. And what they'll do is, at that time, you'll have the option of pulling out the cash, right? So
Yeah.
if the property's worth 300,000, and these days anywhere from 60 to 70% loan to value is most likely what you'll end up with. So if it's worth 300, and I'm just using round numbers here,
Right.
and you want a mortgage for 200,000, well, they're going to give you the 200,000.
I'm familiar with the process. Actually, that's how I paid it off, with the cash out from my home.
From your existing home. Okay, so you took it out
Yes.
there and then paid it off. Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
that's exactly what you should do with the rental.
Okay. I didn't realize that you can take a mortgage out, or they call it a mortgage instead of the equity loan. Okay.
Yeah. Just when you want to put a mortgage on it, you want to put a mortgage on it for tax purposes as well.
Right. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Do you have any?
That actually helps with your tax things, because you're basically borrowing money from your own property, right?
Yes.
If you get a line of credit or something like that on it, then
Yeah.
you don't end up having to pay taxes on borrowed money. So that would be reason to think about getting a mortgage or getting a line of credit on it, which is like a loan.
Mhm.
So it's kind of there's some real tax advantages to doing things that way too.
Okay.
Yeah, the term on that is the DSCR, right? The debt service coverage ratio.
Yeah. You want to talk about that, or you want me to talk about that?
You can talk about that.
Okay. So the debt
Yes.
service coverage ratio basically is trying to make sure that you don't get yourself into trouble with the rents, that the rents are going to cover the mortgage. And so
Right.
basically what you're going to do is you're going to take the income
Mhm.
from the property, subtract out all of the expenses,
Mhm.
except the mortgage and the interest that you have. So the income minus expenses is the net operating income. Then what you want to make sure of is, when you look at your property, that you have enough income coming in so that you can pay the mortgage and the interest on the mortgage and have money left over,
Mhm.
enough money left over that you have a bit of a buffer. And what that's generally called is a debt coverage ratio, or a debt service coverage ratio. And so if the example would be, if after I have my income from my rental and I've paid all the expenses, and now I have my net operating income, and my net operating income is $1,200, just let's say,
Mhm.
and my mortgage is $1,000. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my net operating income and divide it by my mortgage and interest. And in this
Okay.
case, so it'd be 1,200 divided by 1,000, and you get
Yes.
1.2. So I
Okay.
basically have 20% left over after I've paid the mortgage. And that's enough of a buffer most of the time that you're safe, that you have a fairly safe amount,
Mhm.
so that you're not going to run negative some month.
Mhm. Is that the
And
cash
that's a
flow?
really, really good point. So
Mhm.
banks right now are wanting about a 1.3 debt service ratio, 1.25 to 1.3. And you might well have to be able to prove to them that you can, that you have enough income, minus taking away the expenses, that you have 20 to 30% left over, so that you have a little profit and that you can comfortably pay the mortgage. Did that
Got
make
it.
sense to everybody?
Yeah.
I hear that they require a large down payment, larger than conventional. Is that true, or is that just
Are you
us?
talking about with rentals?
Yes, with the loan.
This is a free and clear property. So that's where you're probably not going to get better than a 70% LTV. But if you were buying something, and it was going to be a rental, you're looking probably at 20% to 25% down.
Okay.
Yeah, because essentially you're gonna leverage your property since you already have it free and clear. You're just going in there and just saying, hey, I'm gonna leverage this existing property that's paid off in order to go and give me a 70% return on that. So I don't know what your value of that property is, but if it's 300,000, then you're looking at getting potentially receiving about $210,000
Mhm.
back on that property, kind of a mortgage, but everything's serviced off of that existing debt from the renter.
Got it.
And so they don't look at your stuff personally. They look at what the property itself is doing.
Mhm.
Well,
Is
they
the
base the interest rate. Oh, I'm sorry.
yeah. Is
But
the interest
these days, a lot of banks are looking at they're looking at you personally too, as well as the
Gotcha.
property.
That's-
I mean, unfortunately, that's kind of actually one of the 7 criteria that lenders are looking at.
Yeah.
Is it you personally anymore? And that's been for the past few years, but it's especially true since we started all of this the interest rates are going up and stuff.
Right. That'd be fine. I have excellent credit.
I think we're talking about a couple, they're the same thing, but there are loans that are called DSCR loans.
Yes.
And then there are loans for the rental property. I mean, a different type of loan. I'm not sure what that's called, but just not really commercial, but probably another type of loan. But so those ratios are used in both, but that is a separate type of loan. I was wondering, do you have any financial friends, as Pete talks about, because you could probably get a better rate and you don't have to deal with a lot of the rules that the banks have in place.
I do not.
Take care of that.
How?
Yeah, because that was also the other side, that you could always put someone that has like maybe like a self-directed IRA or something that got money and they're not making they're not making the interest on it as they would if it was in the market or something potentially. So that's an opportunity, to Doug's point.
Would it make sense for her to start, I guess, exploring different banks and credit unions and stuff like that to try and figure out, okay, this is how much my house is worth based on what they're telling me, kind of like a pre-approval letter. You can go out and buy something or put a down payment on something up to X versus finding something and then running around trying to find the money to get it?
That's a good question. That's a
Well,
good
the fact that her property is completely paid off, I mean, that opens up the ball game for her a little bit. I mean, it's kind of funny. I was just actually talking to Daniel about this a couple days ago, but we it's called hypothecation. So when you have a property that's paid for and you want to go leverage it to go get a mortgage or a loan on it or some kind of debt, then you're just you're out talking to the bank and saying, hey, I got this property, it's worth X. It's completely paid off. I want to see about getting, DSCR or a rental loan on it. It's a performing asset. Here's what the income is. And based off of what the values are and how much money you're trying to pull out of it is where you're getting into the ratio factor. But ideally, you're after them to give them the property as leverage in order to get the money out without doing any kind of additional money out of your pocket to do that. Unless you're just trying to buy down an interest rate or something, but.
Okay.
The smaller local banks, they're going to have better terms than your national Bank of America, PNCs, all that good stuff. What they do, the smaller local banks, the smaller the bank, the more they hold the mortgage on their books. They don't sell it as fast if they sell it at all. And the smaller the bank, the less red tape that they have to follow, as far as they still have federal guidelines, but because they don't sell the mortgage, because they don't do certain things that the big banks do, they have more freedom, and they can they can change a lot of terms. There's less red tape, basically. The smaller, the more local bank. Credit unions are fantastic as far as this is concerned. Again, the smaller, in my opinion, the smaller the bank, the better for this type of loan.
I use M&T Bank. I think that's pretty small. I'm not sure. I think it's just local, Maryland.
No, and that's actually a medium-sized bank.
Yeah,
so.
they're more regional. I think they bought a couple places in the last few years.
I didn't know. Sorry.
Hey, I've got a couple of I've got one near my house actually. It's got a big sign out front, and it's an independent bank saying, we do investor loans and stuff like that. I don't have the info on it, but if you send me an email, the next time I'm up there, I'll grab their information and email it to you. Plus, we have somebody up in is it Eastern Savings Bank? Is that what Scott is a part of, Nicole?
Yes.
So it's Eastern Savings Bank, and then I'm sure in PG County there's got to be a ton of or Anne Arundel County. I'm not sure where that is. They've got a ton of credit unions just because they're so close to the government. They're everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah, and Arundel County.
Okay. All right.
Thank you. Yes.
Thanks, Howard.
Thank you, James.
Mm-hmm.
There's a credit union called Tower Federal that's in Pasadena as well. So that might be a good option.
Thank you. Yes, I've heard of them.
And if you do put your email in, we do have an investor who does hypothecations all the time. So she might want to work something out with you.
Sure. In here for everybody to see. Sure.
You can put it in the chat.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. Did that answer all your questions, or does anybody else have anything else to add value to this one?
I had one thing that I just thought about. I don't know if it's good or bad, but if she wanted to push it or promote it on some of our groups like this, there might be somebody who wants to try to wrap it. If they may have access to way cheaper money, and they could wrap it at 1 or 2% over what they can get, and it might still give her a decent rate. I'd check what the credit unions can do first, and then see if you can beat that rate. But I don't know if that's possible doing it that way, but just a thought.
Yeah, I
Great
would.
idea.
Interest rates are pretty high right now. I think that might be particularly for investor type of things or rental kinds of properties.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to get a bunch of money out, you're going to be stuck with that interest rate
Right.
unless they come down a bit. the thing that keeps going through my head is a 1031 exchange
Mhm.
with a financial friend. And then you actually wrap that with with a lease with an option to buy it back at a certain point. You end up with a lot of more cash in your pocket. And you can still get the property back, particularly if you like the property at a certain time. But that means you have to do with somebody else who likes 1031s.
Mhm.
What do you think about that?
Um, I honestly don't know much about.
Okay, then this isn't the one to start it with. You're not going to start something complicated like that.
Yeah.
So
I was
wanna
gonna say, I
get-
think, that's, it sounds like that you typically are a little bit more on the beginning side. So I would think like the 1031 would be here,
Mhm.
for like Nicole's side. So I think that might be a little bit too big for you to bite off on right at the moment with that. But it's a very good suggestion nonetheless.
Hey, Emma,
Bill,
I
I mean,
copied down.
what's that, James?
I'm sorry, I was just say, Emma, I copied down your email and I sent it to Jane and Sharon, and copied you on it, so now have each other's email addresses, and then when Sharon finds the
Awesome.
hypothecate, whatever it's called.
I think that's the new buzzword. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been hearing that like all
Yeah,
the time now.
hypothecation.
Is it like procrastinate? Procrastinate? No, what is that?
Procrastination? No.
That's a, Doug and us, we were involved in a, exchangers group. That's what Pete Fortunato is out of. It's too bad there's not a strong presence of the exchangers group in Maryland, because they are different areas throughout the whole United States. So, know if there was
Yeah.
any.
Do you guys have one of those up there, an exchanger group in Maryland?
there is
some-
one, but I don't know much about it, to be honest with you. If you were talking to me, I've seen things come across, but I've never really gotten involved in it. So I don't know how active they are or really much about it, to be quite honest.
Gotcha.
So that's like the one meeting we go to on Fridays. It's an in-person meeting. They just come up with kind of
Well, if you
scenarios.
meet with Pete, why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's pretty cool. The person who runs it has to be
An
an
agent.
agent or a broker, and then they have usually quarterly meetings where a group of different exchangers come together to, like, the regional. Actually, I think that's tomorrow, isn't it?
Next week.
Next week, it's the regional one around us. So, does anybody else have a deal you want to look at or go over or analyze?
Or anything, any kind of scenarios or
Something you're working on?
you're working on.
I'm thinking about doing some build to rent, but I don't know what the numbers need to look like. Just in general, is there like a down and dirty way to look at how much I could put into this thing to make it work, like the cost to build versus the rent? Is that still any ideas on that?
Does anybody have any experience with that?
So, yeah, on the build side, so the more doors, the better in that scenario, because you're spreading the cost out amongst, multiple units. If you're doing like a single family house build and you're going to build this thing for let's say $250,000 and you got $50,000 in the lot, you're at $300,000, then theoretically you'd have to rent that thing for at least like $3,400 a month, $3,600 a month. Is that realistic? I would say no. I would say that, that would, now if you did, in my opinion, like the new construction route, then, but you're in like a Florida area where there's like the vacation rentals where you can utilize the Airbnb market, that's going to appreciate like a house like that's in my background there, then I think that could become a higher rental income that's coming in off that, but it's not going to be a long-term tenant. It's going to be very short-term, daily, weekly rentals, if you will, depending on where it's located at. I think is where you get your largest bang for your buck. To me, I feel like if you're going to go in and spend $300,000 on a piece of property, why not go to an area that you could buy, you know, $40,000-$50,000 houses and buy 5 or 6 of them?
I
You
guess
know, that to me is like for instance, like when we were, like Daniel and I were in Ohio last week, and we were looking at some properties that I think the highest one we looked at was maybe $55,000, and they're turnkey rentals. Now, granted, they're not something that I necessarily would like to live in, but they rent, and they rent all day long for, you know, give or take between $850 and $1,100 a month. And so you get a higher return on your money on that than you would if, per se, you're doing a single family house build plus, you know, how long does it take to build it? You know, that's just my 2 nuggets.
yeah, and that's a good thought, because what I was looking at is we have one lot that I've got a bunch of paid for lots that we're building high-end spec homes on. And this one I found out I could subdivide into four lots instead of just 2. So I was looking at maybe doing smaller units, but building them, designing them to be midterm rentals. I'm not sure what that looks like yet, but and we build all of our own. I do have.
Are they?
What's that?
Well, I was going to say, are they in a rentable area, or is this all? Are they amongst all the other high income, or the high houses that you're doing?
They're among all the other high ends, so I don't want to hurt our values, but I can make them look nice. You know what I mean? And
Can you do high end townhouses if you combine the lots?
Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah, like the dude.
I can combine 2 houses and 2 houses, but I can't combine all 4. So
right. You could do like duet.
Right. So could be some savings on like staircases, things like that. You know, I'd do 1 staircase for 2 units. It would make it where it would no longer be sellable as a single family home, though. You know, so I might prefer to keep it, you know, attached.
No, what
I'm asking is, can you attach the lots and make it one parcel? Combine the lots, make it one big piece of land, and then build townhouses together.
No, the zoning is I could only do right now it is 1 lot. I can subdivide the lot and do 2 what I'm in Nashville. What they call an HPR is a horizontal property regime, which basically is duplex eligible. So I can do 2 on each half so I can do 4 altogether.
So you can do 2 townhouses on each lot.
Right.
Right.
So yeah, I would do duplex, kind of like a duet.
Duplex,
where you're building kind of a higher end townhouse that's side by side. Then you have each of those as a separate unit, or you know, you can sell them off as a separate unit, but they're a townhouse. But they're called duets. We do a lot of them here in Charlotte, and they tend to be a lot more like higher end. And I'm talking like these things are 700 to, you know, even $1 million. You know, right there beside each other.
If they let you do duplexes instead of single families, that is a pretty big cost savings.
Okay.
Because basically you're getting 2. I mean, a townhouse is kind of like in between a single family and a multifamily. It's kind of like right there, whatever. It's in like the gray area. But if you built 2 and you sold them, you get more bang for your buck.
As far as cost savings and building them, you mean?
As far as the building cost, yeah.
Okay. And the thing is, it would have to be a rental at that point. I was just thinking of doing it renting by the room for midterm rental, or try to find somebody.
Is the market there for that though? Usually in those high end neighborhoods, there's not really a market to rent for a room.
That's what I don't know. I'd have to look. I was thinking more along the line, maybe corporate rather than traveling nurses, things like that, high end corporate, because the houses we're building are between 1.8 and $2 million right now.
So you can build a duplex and get $1.6 million.
Maybe. Yeah. There's one that everything's separated up here on the hill. It's on the hilltop overlooking Nashville, and there's one that the only lot I've sold, and the guy built 2 connected, a duplex, but they're big, and he's asking 1.6 million for each. So we
For
get,
each.
yeah, so we'll see, yeah, it's 2 units and 1.6 for each unit. So we'll see
Yeah. Okay.
what he gets, you know, right now he's just in framing stage. So I
Yeah,
think,
it's always cheaper to build up than out. Does that make sense?
yeah, and we got steep lots. We're on, you know, really steep slopes. So we do have to build up. So.
Yeah, you got to build the either do a crawl space or
We're on
a stem wall.
Yeah,
A really big stem wall.
So why
Uh,
are you saying it would have to be a rental? That's what I'm not understanding.
No, it doesn't. I'm just saying if I designed it where maybe it to do cost savings where it had one
Mhm.
staircase for 2 houses, then it's not never going to sell as a single family again, probably, you know.
Yeah, that wouldn't even make sense even if it was a rental. That would be more like an apartment type of thing. You would when you build townhouses, you want their own staircase, right? It's like that. Like I'm saying, that it's a gray area between a single family and a multifamily. It's just a connected 2 houses connected, right? So, yeah, you'd have your own staircase.
exactly.
I mean, in Nashville right now, I don't know. Out there by Nashville, I mean, that market is like you can't even find dirt to buy. If you have dirt right now in Nashville, you're the man.
nah,
You
I've
know.
got a lot of dirt.
Well, if I was you, I'd be building and
Oh,
selling while you and selling while you can, not trying to hold for rentals.
Yeah. That's
The high end stuff is where you can get really, really stuck and hurt bad if the market turns ugly,
Correct.
especially in the building market.
I don't like, we're in high end now and I don't like it. I'd rather be in cheaper, but I've kept pushing the prices up here. I've got a lot of pads, you know, lots up here. So I kept
Yeah.
pushing the price and now I've got it so high that they're tough to sell right now just because that part of the market slowed down a lot.
Yeah, you just build it and then build half of it, frame it, and then sell it and let somebody pick their finishes.
Yeah.
I mean,
And then it becomes a custom.
What's that?
What rates?
yeah.
That's it. But then that starts becoming custom, and that's like, oh, you know.
Yeah,
What
we're,
rates can you
that
get
is
for a
true.
straight rental? What rates can you get for a straight rental so you'd have exit strategies in case?
well, one guy built a high end up here and he was following every new build, there's other builders up on this hill. It's about a half a mile loop. And everybody that comes in, I tell them my vision and I've got about 16 pads up here. So I'm trying to push the prices, and he went along with it, along with quite a few others. And he listed it for 2 point something million and he's just not getting it sold. It was a little funky design.
Mhm.
Pretty big. It was 4,300 square feet or something.
Mhm.
But he couldn't sell it, so he went ahead and rented it out. He's getting 10,000 a month.
Wow. So you have plenty,
Jeez.
plenty
Well,
other strategies.
What corporations are there just that would be interested in?
Everything. I mean, a lot of medical. What's that big one that's coming in? Oracle, not Oracle. Something that's coming in downtown. I forgot what it was. That's real big. And then there's just there's a big variation and a lot of different stuff. It's a good city.
What's the build cost out there?
I think we're around 250, but we're doing hiring custom, and that doesn't include any overhead, any holding costs, anything. That's sticks and bricks, probably.
Wow. So you're looking like 275 to 300 before you even break even.
Well, we had another builder the other day we were talking to about that, and he's saying you should be. He goes, he's at 350. So I mean, when he counts everything, you know.
Oh my God. And are you the general contractor or you have to
Yeah.
hire that?
No, I'm the general GC and the realtor and the excavator.
The general contractor, the realtor, and the excavator.
I like to dig. It's in my
You know, for a reason.
Control the process.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a high market to get stuck in with your pants down.
Oh yeah.
That's a big mortgage.
Yep.
So I'm
That's
just
why-
curious.
Yeah.
So I was doing the math, right? If your guy is at 350 and then includes everything and it's 4,200 square feet, he's like at 1.5. Is that about right?
Yeah.
And then it's selling for how much?
They're selling about 460 a square foot.
Wow.
Or it depends, you know. Just,
So what is
So
that,
what's the square footage
25%
of the
higher?
business?
So he's selling for what is that?
He was-
1.8, 1.9?
Yeah, one sold up here for 1.9. That's been the highest yet. I've got one listed. I listed it, started at 2.6. I'm down to 2.3 right now.
Oof.
But I did a pool with an Infinity Edge. That one was to push the price of everything up here. There was a goal of that, and I just bad timing. I should have finished it a year ago.
So I guess lowballing you would not be an option, right?
I'd be
Cash
willing to take
today.
it. I'd be willing to take that on and pay you $500 a month until it's paid off.
Wouldn't,
Seller
wouldn't we
financing.
all? We're all moving to Nashville.
Well,
God.
this one's huge. It's 5,000 square feet. It's got guest suites. It's got, separate guest suites. You can do a dadu or, accessory dwelling unit. You can short-term rental, owner occupy the house or the,
I'm surprised. Is there an HOA?
no.
I'm surprised that
I
you're
was gonna
allowed to
say,
do
I'm
all that.
surprised you can do anything in that price point with a rental.
Exactly.
No HOA. So
Wow.
they don't want to get me out. I'm in a 600 square foot house that I paid $1,000 for and moved here.
Got yourself a tiny home, huh?
It was a pool house.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess. If you could build if you're gonna build, I don't know. I think your best bet is build one at a time.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think the rental market in that. I know the other guy's renting it for 10,000, but how many people are moving there trying to pay? Let's say you built 2 duplexes and you want to charge $5,000 a month a piece, right? You got a 2,500 square foot townhouse. How many people are moving there that got a budget for $25,000 a month for rent?
Yeah, what's the average rent like? What's the typical rent for a regular family moving in to that area?
I don't know the rental numbers real well. I don't have any right now, so just got the builds going. So,
how many builds do you have going?
We got
6 pads.
We got 16 pads, but we've got one house done. We've got 2 going, and we're going to start 2 more. Just a little nervous about the market. So,
yeah, you may want to pump the brakes a little bit.
Hold
that's
some
a large
and sell
portfolio.
some.
That's a lot of
When you have too many
Yeah,
going out.
what's that?
yeah.
So when you got a lot of builds going on, you have all the money going out and very, little coming back in.
So one of the biggest things
Yeah.
is
So you start selling them.
yeah,
Do
because
you pre-sell 'em?
the interest rates are what's killing your buyer pool. They want to hold off for a minute.
Yeah.
Especially on what do they call that? A jumbo loan over
Yeah.
$1 million.
Unless they got cash.
Yeah, that's it. And if they got cash, then they want to if I have cash and I'm going in, I'm saying, give me that house right there. I want to put my touches on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you've got one with a foundation in it, you might want to just start pre-selling them and say, hey, we've already got the siding color orders. We've got the paint color, or, just give them paint, flooring, and cabinet color options.
We're looking into that right now. We had chose not to do that in the beginning. I started the construction company with all my siblings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, so they were a little nervous about that because they're fairly new at it. I've been in construction a long time, but, yeah. So, but we're given the market right now, we're going to try to get into figure out how to do the pre-selling and not get, give away the farm, so to say.
Well, you have to control it, right? You have to say, okay, well, these are your options, right?
Right,
So whatever options, if you just send them into a tile shop, you're going to come out on the wrong end of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you just send them into the slab yard, the countertop, you're going to come out on the wrong end of that one too.
Yeah.
You just got to have them come to your
Well,
office.
that's where, when we go
Your stuff.
when we went into the subdivision, we had 5 different house plans, and then we had 3 different options for each of those plans. And they couldn't, it's either you pick A, B, or C, and whatever package, and that's it. That's all your choices. That's, paint colors, that's all your selections, that's everything. and they couldn't deviate from it.
Yeah.
Because it was already built in pricing. So to Daniel's point, I mean, if you just have them walk in the tile shop, of course they're gonna, hey, you have $1,000. It's like, no,
Yeah, well, the
and then you
tile
have to
shop
have that.
itself is going to try and sell them the top of the line. That's your
Oh,
first
absolutely.
obstacle,
Yeah.
and then
Whole build detailed out before we did that. I mean, everything had to be lined out. Here's what you're getting, and then maybe let them make a change on color or something.
I mean, I think your easiest thing is you get the flooring, paint color, cabinets and countertops.
Yeah.
And that, tell them your tile's been ordered for 6 weeks. You could even wait till, like, say, framing to put it up for sale. That way they can't change the plan. The plan's already there. It's already what it is. If you wanted to, hold them back with the tile or give them some tile options. But maybe you give them 5 choices, or let them pick faucet color.
So my question here would be, who is your buyer? Is your buyer somebody who's going to go get a jumbo loan, or is your buyer somebody who's going to pay cash for this property? Because the higher net worth somebody is, and at least in my experience, the more they want input into what they're buying, and the more choices they're going to want.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't know for sure because we've kind of stumbled into this. I've been buying lots on this hilltop. I was trying to buy the whole hilltop, and I've been buying lots for 18 years. And as we started construction, we kept pushing the price each house we did, trying to make it better, more custom, more everything. And so it started around, I can't remember. I think our first one was like 800,000 or 900,000, and now we're up to 2 million. So, but I think we've hit our limit. So
Yeah, you're creating your own comms, which is great, but so to go and to wrap this up a little bit, your luxury houses that are right there that you're building and that's on the top, for you to go and put in a duplex and do it as a rental, if it's not a luxury high end stuff, I think you would kind of hurt yourself in that, and the other comps and stuff of the houses. So I don't know. I would necessarily do that side of it unless you're going to kind of do like a duet, which is the luxury duplexes, if you will, to where you could sell them off individually. And maybe they're going after like a 1.2, value versus like a, 1.8 or 1.9 or something, right? Maybe it's just, what size are those houses? Predominantly average square foot?
well, our last one was real big, and there was a purpose for that. That was 5,000. Now we're going down to 4,200, and we're thinking of cutting it back to 3,200, and getting back below like 1.6, 1.7 million. Knocking it down.
What is the average square foot house that is selling within a 10-mile radius?
It's a weird thing. We've got 2 real high-end neighborhoods, actually 3, surrounding us. We're this one little hidden hilltop that everybody that comes up here goes, I didn't even know this was up here. So I'm 6 miles from downtown. So it's kind of.
So what do we not know the average? Because you want to be like, if the average is 3,000, if the average is, like, let's say 5,000 square feet, you don't want to build a 3,000 square foot house because that's not your buyer pool in that market, right? If the average is 3,000, like you said, then that's what you want to build because that's what the people know in that area, And I say 10 miles because it's usually like the appraisers, what do you call it? Radius, if you will.
Yeah,
he likes to pull comps.
Well, they do a mile at first, but if you're more in a rural area, then they'll expand it out. But typically, within.
We had an appraisal done, and he had trouble finding comps because ours are all on, like I said, very steep lots. So ours are multi-story. There's one neighborhood just west of us that's a one 1 acre lots, and they're all like 1 and 2 level houses and really nice. They're going up into 3 and 4 million range now. And those are between, the new builds are all between, I'd say 4,000 and 7,000 square feet. If you go the other direction, they're probably 3 to 4,000, averaging maybe 3,500, something like that. You go the other direction, they might be 3,000. And then north of us, everything's probably average at 2,500, and that's a cheaper neighborhood, but still up and coming. But
I have a question. This is Charlene. I always heard that Nashville was hot, that there's a lot of people moving in there. You know, what demographic is moving in there? What corporates are over there? What kind of people are coming into Nashville that would buy something like that?
it's just a big mix. There's a lot of various corporations. There's, like I said, a new huge development. I want to say it's called Oracle or something, but that may not be right. Downtown, that was a massive development along the river, right downtown Nashville. But there's a huge mix of different corporations, and everybody from blue collar workers all the way up to high
Yeah.
end. It's a good mix, really good mix.
Is anybody able to get you data on that sort of thing, like a realtor or somebody or the city, or
Yeah,
to
I'm
get
actually
some ideas?
I'm actually a realtor. I should be able to. So, but I just haven't really pulled that because we're kind of where we are.
Mhm.
We either have to build or quit building and fold the company. You know what I mean? So I
So I'm
can
wondering if,
how big to build. Go ahead, Gene.
so I was just curious about a couple of things. One is the guy that's renting out his house for 10 grand a month. I don't think he's covering his expenses, but that's just doing some quick back of the napkin. The other thing is that, from a corporate standpoint, a lot of these individuals that are moving, especially in the C-suite, into a lot of these new corporations as they move, they're busy. They don't want to be driving around for, 2 weeks with a realtor looking at houses. So I'm wondering if you can get into like HR or something like that and say, hey, I'm a custom builder. We have some high-end homes. We're close to downtown. If one of your individuals, even a VP, it doesn't have to be a C-suite person, is looking, I'll be more than happy to, show them what we've got available right now, and make it as easy for them as possible. Just an idea of maybe a captive market that you might be able to go out to.
That's a good idea. Thanks, Gene.
Mhm.
I like that. Yeah.
There might also be foreign companies interested.
Yeah, that's true. Good
Foreign
point.
Yeah,
buyers.
I was actually thinking, kind of your foreign market, thinking about people who can't easily get loans, and those are the self-employed and that have a lot of money, and foreign nationals and those kinds of things. I don't know if you have many of those in the area, but a lot of them have a fair amount of money, a lot of foreign money, and are going to be buying cash. So if you have a way to get into market to those kind of folk, that might be worth thinking about.
We actually almost had a Super Bowl player in here. He just bought a house, and he was with the Detroit Lions, but they didn't quite make it.
Ah, oh no.
So he should be back home pretty soon. Well, thanks for all the help.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. A lot of interaction. We like that.
absolutely. It was great. This
Hey
is,
Doug, it's Oracle and Amazon moving to Nashville is what I just looked up quickly on Google.
Oracle is supposed to be pretty huge, but I mean, there's a lot of that's just a small percentage of all the stuff that's here.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about Nashville. So
And we just had a talk with the chief economist for the National Association of Realtors. He said the Fed's saying 3 rate cuts next in 24. He said he thinks they'll do closer to 5, which would be nice for us. I mean, because the lower we can get the rate, the better. We get high end people coming in. I mean, doing mortgages, but and then my boss, who is really well connected, the guy at a real estate company that I work for, is predicting probably a 2 to 3% growth each year in housing sales, volume. So that was good. And no, I think that was pricing. Sorry. but inventory is supposed to pick up and so are sales. So that's what they're
You
predicting.
know, there are lots and lots and lots of multifamilies coming online this year.
Especially
I
in
mean, it's people started building like crazy. So and that's probably not going to affect your market, but it certainly is the median kind of thing. And I think I think from what I'm reading, the Fed is probably 3 to 4. They're not going to do anything in this meeting, this first meeting. So it just really depends. I also heard that the prediction is a 3.1% rise in the economy this year, 3 to 3.3 growth rate. So be interesting to see what those predictions look like.
Yeah, I'm curious. I'm holding my breath.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath.
But my broker basically said we've hit the trough. We'll come out of it slowly. And then now we're going back to normal appreciation where we've been in crazy appreciation time, before in 2021. So that if he's right, I don't know. Smart man, but nobody has a crystal ball.
Awesome. This was
Well,
great
it sounds like
content.
you have quite a set of problems there on your plate to fix.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some good problems, right?
Yeah,
Could well be.
yeah, from what you guys are saying, it makes sense to. I just get excited because I want to do some kind of really cool midterm rental, and I'm envisioning it. But that doesn't mean it's a good idea because it probably is much smarter just to do 4 individual units, even though
Yeah, and then you take that money and find a good place to do the midterms, and then you can have the best of both worlds.
yeah, these would
Buy
have
those.
high end.
Yeah, right. All right, cool. Well, that took us about a good hour to. Did everybody like this format? Kind of trying to pitch a problem or pitch a deal or trying to go over stuff. Got a little. Everybody was chit chatting, so we liked that.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I think it was awesome.
All right.
Everybody want to do this every month, once a month?
All right, cool. Well, got a thumbs up. I like it. All right. All right, we'll be respectful of everybody's time, and we're at time now. So check out Virtual REI Academy and on the website, and I think the links in there, or catch this on YouTube or share it along with some other people so we get some more interaction here. And we'll see everybody next week.
And thank you, everybody, for your feedback. And
Thanks, Doug. Thanks.